Hey guys, Victor here again, and today I'm coming at you with another retro deck profile for the September 2011 format. Today's deck is going to be the fan favorite known as Blackwings, which unfortunately is at best a rogue deck after all their constant hits from being meta relevant ever since their inception. So, with that out of the way, let's jump straight into the deck profile. So starting off with the monsters, we're going to be playing 3 Blackwing Shura the Blue Flame. This is probably the most important card in your deck as it's able to get your entire engine going by special summoning any Blackwing monster from your deck with 1500 attack or less. So because of that, you're able to bring out a tuner or fodder for Icarus attack or whatever. You pretty much just always want to have access to this card. And then after that, we're going to be playing 3 Blackwing Bora the Spear. This card's really cool because it's a free extender that can special summon itself as long as you control a Blackwing that isn't Bora. But the better part of this effect is that it does piercing damage whenever it attacks a defense position monster, which is really good in this type of format because of the fact that Tengu Plant is really popular, and they like setting a lot of monsters in defense before they can get their engine going, with one of the main cards being Spirit Reaper, which is pretty difficult to out in this format. And then after that, we're going to be playing 2 Blackwing Blizzard the Far Norths. Normally you'd be playing 3 of this card, but I feel 2 is way better now that people have gotten more accustomed to the format thanks to everyone playing cards such as Maxi and Valor, which has completely stopped Blizzard. 2 is probably the perfect number in my opinion, but if you want, you could play 3. I think it's too much of a liability currently. And then we're going to be playing 2 Blackwing Sirocco the Dawn. What can I say? It's just basically just a free 2000 beat stick. If your opponent controls a monster and you don't, you can just normal summon it. And then it also helps you get over troublesome synchros such as Stardust Dragon by being able to make all your Blackwings give their attack to one Blackwing in order to beat over it. And it's not even just Stardust, just anything with more than 2100 attack that you may have difficulty with, Sirocco is able to help you get over it. And then after that, we're going to be playing the 1 Kalut because you're only allowed to play 1 now after it got hit. It's still a really good card, so you should obviously be playing this if you can. And then you also have the 1 Gale, which is pretty much the same as Kalut. It's a really good card that was limited at this time, so you only play the 1. And then after that, we're going to be playing 1 Blackwing Zephryos the Elite. Now, I'm honestly not the biggest fan of this card, just because it tends to be a brick more often than not, but you kind of need to in order to, say for example, combo it with Black Whirlwind, as it's a decently strong monster that can help you search for your better ones. But then it also has like a bunch of other utility too, where, for example, say it's in your graveyard and you have a Shura that just special summoned a Blizzard from your deck, you'd be able to bounce the Blizzard to be able to use it for the next turn. And then with the Zephryos and the Shura, you're able to rank 4 for either like a Steel Swarm Roach or a Utopia. And it's just little things like that more than justify playing this card. And then for our final Blackwing, we're going to be playing 1 Vayu. Vayu is nowhere near as good as it was in Edison format, but we still play the 1 just because of the fact that you never know when you're going to be able to special summon a free synchro monster to have to deal with your opponent. And then, yeah, that's it for the Blackwing lineup, but that's not it for the monster counts. So in addition to the Blackwings, we're going to be playing 2 Thunder King Rayos. This is more of my personal attack. I don't see many people playing this, but I feel like Thunder King really thrives in this deck, as Blackwing is more of like a stun type of deck instead of a combo deck as it used to be. So because of that, I feel Rayo fits more at home here, and then it's still just like a really, really good card in this format. And we're also going to be playing 2 Effect Valor because it's Effect Valor, and 2 Maxi because it's Maxi. And then lastly, we're going to be playing 1 Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. So I know this is really weird, and most of the time you'll see people playing Dark Arm Dragon over something like BLS, but because of the fact that we play Lights in Thunder King and Effect Valor, it's actually really easy and simple to special summon this card, as opposed to Dark Arm Dragon, which needs you to have exactly 3 darks. And plus, I think it's a lot more funnier. So just that little justification is more than enough to make me want to play BLS over Dad. And with that, we finally finished up the monster lineup, so now we can head on over to the spells. So the spell lineup for the Blackwing deck is pretty small, as we're gonna be really monster heavy and really trap heavy. But every single spell in this deck is still really important. And so with that, we're going to start off with the 1 Black Whirlwind, which is unfortunately limited at this point in time, which is why we only play the 1. But if you open this card with like a Shura, you're really, really far ahead and it's hard for your opponent to come back. And then after that, we're going to be playing staples. So we're going to play the 1 Dark Hole, the 1 Book of Moon, And then the thing about Book of Moon is that it actually has a lot more utility in this deck, as it helps ensure that your cards such as Shura are able to attack over your opponent's monsters in order to get their effects off. And then we're also going to be playing the 1 Monster Reborn, because it's Monster Reborn, along with the 1 Heavy Storm, the 1 Alert, because this is pretty much an all-dark deck, so it'd be ridiculous to not play that. And then lastly, I'm going to be playing 1 Dark Eruption. This is a really cool tech card that pretty much allows you to add any dark monster in your graveyard with 1500 attack or less to your hand. So with this card, you're able to recycle either your Kalut, your Gale, or your Blizzards and add them back to your hand, which is really important for like the grind game or just helping you ensure game. And I just think it's like a really cool card that you can play, but I understand if you want to cut it or play something more consistent, such as like Pot of Duality, but I'd rather go over this. And then in case you may have noticed, there's no Mystical Space Typhoon in this deck. I really feel like you don't need it thanks to the Heavy Storm and the fact that we play Icarus Attack, which already gets rid of back row pretty easily. And so with that, that's our spell lineup, and we can now move on to the traps. So starting off with the traps, we're going to be playing 3 Icarus Attacks, easily the most broken card of the deck, and it's actually something that this deck recently got back from the September 2011 list, as it was, I believe, semi-limited prior to that. What can I say? This card basically turns difficult matchups into something more manageable, especially if it's like a trap-heavy deck, because they just completely crumble to cards like this. And as I mentioned previously, this is the main reason why we don't play Mystical Space Typhoon. It's not needed since this deck already has more than enough master removal. And then after that, we're going to be playing 2 Dimensional Prisons. I feel like this is probably the better card to play over something like Bottomless or Compulse, because of the fact that it permanently gets rid of a monster. And this deck has a lot of trouble, believe it or not, actually keeping their monsters on the field through battle because of the fact that Kalut was limited. So just being able to ensure that our monsters stay on the board as well as banishing our opponent's stuff is just really good. And then of course we're going to be playing the Solemn Brigade. So 2 Solemn Warning and the 1 Solemn Judgment. No reason not to play this. It's easily the best counter traps in the format. And then when it comes to 1-ofs, we're going to be playing the 1-of Torrential Tribute because it's Torrential Tribute, the 1-of Mirror Force because much like I mentioned earlier with Dimensional Prison, we have a lot of trouble keeping our monsters on the board and preventing them from being destroyed by battle. We're going to have the 1 Starlight Road, really cool card. Since this is more of like a stun-based deck, Starlight Road has a lot more value as it helps us play around Heavy Storm, Torrential, Dark Hole, you name it. And then there's also some really cool combos that you can do with this. Like say for example, right, you're roughly 2,500 short, and you've already attacked with all your monsters. Say you have Icarus Attack. So you use Icarus Attack, tribute 1 of your Blackwings, and target 2 of your own cards. You can chain Starlight Road to negate it, bring out the Stardust, and go for game. There's just like a lot of really cool small things like that that help you out in the long run. And then lastly, we have the 1 Trap Death Shoot because it's Trap Death Shoot. And just resolving this is pretty much going to help ensure that you can win the game more easily. And that's the lineup for the traps. So with that, we can finally move on to the extra deck. So comparing this extra deck to say something like Edison format, Blackwings have a lot more choices in what they can play. And because of that, it basically makes our extra deck a lot more dangerous than back then where you have like triple Vayu and all you do was just turbo out your Armed Wings or your Armor Masters. So with that in mind, we're going to start off with 1 TG Hyper Librarian. This is easily the most cuttable level 5 or just most cuttable monster period in this deck. You almost never make it. The only time you are making this is if you're being greedy and want to flex on your opponent, which, you know, sometimes does happen. But yeah, or even if you want to be like more defensive, for example, like say you're playing against a synchro heavy deck, right? You can go Blizzard, bring back Kalut, synchro for Librarian, and then if your opponent synchro summons, you draw a card for every single one they do. So, you know, if you want to be like offensive or defensive, this card pretty much does it all. Then we have Catastor, what I believe is the best level 5 in the extra deck at this time, just because it has so many monsters. And then after that, we're going to be playing with the 1 Bryonic Dragon of the Ice Barrier because it's Brio. After next, we're going to be playing 1 Orient Dragon. This is one of the newer level 6s that we got, which came out in Generation Force, I believe. And it's really good at helping you get rid of troublesome synchro monsters such as your opponent's Stardust Dragons, as it's able to just banish them and get rid of them from the game. Easily one of the better synchros that was released at this time. And then after that, we're going to be playing 2 Blackwing Armed Wing. This is a Blackwing deck, so of course we're going to be playing some Blackwing synchro monsters. And I feel this one's probably the better of the two that we're going to be playing, purely because it also does piercing damage and it gains 500 attack. So it's able to basically help you go for game a lot more easily. And then after that, we're going to be playing one Black Rose Dragon because it's Black Rose Dragon. And for our other level 7, we're going to be playing one Blackwing Armor Master. Honestly, Armor Master is not that great anymore. There's so many cards that deal with it more consistently in this type of format. And I don't know. This deck doesn't really want a wall, which is what Armor Master mainly does. But if it does come down to it, it is useful. So I play the 1 just to play it. And then when it comes to level 8s, we're going to be playing the 1 Scrap Dragon because it's Scrap Dragon. Also one of the better level 8s that was introduced since our time at Edison. There's no reason not to play it. And we're also going to be doing 2 Stardust Dragons, 1 for Starlight Road and 1 to make the hard way if it comes up, which normally it won't, but you never know. So if you want to cut one of the Stardust Dragons and play like another Armor Master because you really like it, that's more than okay, honestly. And then after that, we're going to be playing the 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barriers. Pretty easy to make, honestly. Just takes 2 level 4s plus a Veiler, or if you want, you could also do, for example, a Blizzard plus a level 4 plus a level 3, such as Kalut, and then you can just make Trish, and then normally when you drop Trish, the game's already won. So yeah, just a really good card to have in the extra deck. And then we're going to play the 1 Steel Swarm Roach because it's Roach, the 1 Utopia because it's Utopia, and then lastly, we're going to finish this off with Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon in case you're playing against any machine decks, and you can just catch them off guard by sighting in Cyber Dragons. And so with that, that's the extra deck, and that's the Blackwing deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!